My name is Tanya Melendez, and today I will be talking about a really touchy subject, not only for the people who live with this, but also for the family members of these people. You may have heard of this before, or you may have not, but truthfully, it isn't uncommon for people to not know what this is. Today I will be talking about cystic fibrosis. You may have asked yourself, why don't I know what this is? Or you might tell yourself, I know exactly what this is. There is really no in between when it comes to talking about this disease. I personally know a lot of things about this disease, and some days I wish I didn't. When you have a family member who has a disease and deals with it every day, sometimes you wish you could take that away, but unfortunately you can't. Some of you may be able to relate. Maybe it isn't cystic fibrosis that your family member has, but it could be things like cancer, heart disease, or something between those lines. Today I want to educate you all. I want you to understand what cystic fibrosis is, why I chose to talk about it today. I want to talk about this disease that not too many people know about or mention very often. So what is cystic fibrosis? Cystic fibrosis is a progressive genetic disease that causes persistent lung infections and limits the ability to breathe over time. People who have CF have mutations in the cystic fibrosis transmembrane conductance regulator gene that causes the CFTR protein to become dysfunctional. Since the protein does not work correctly in people who have CF, the protein has a hard time moving chloride, a component of salt, to the cell surface. Since there is no chloride present to attract water to the cell surface, the mucus in many organs, especially the lungs, becomes thick and sticky. Because this mucus becomes sticky, it clogs the airways and traps bacteria that leads to infections, inflammation, and respiratory failure. Because the people who live with cystic fibrosis have complications with breathing and are able to get sick easier than other people who don't have this disease, they have to be very careful who they are around and what they touch. They always have to be cautious and make sure they use proper hand washing techniques and use sanitizer daily. Not only does cystic fibrosis affect the lungs and the way you breathe, but it also affects the pancreas. Because of the mucus buildup in the pancreas, it prevents the pancreas from releasing digestive enzymes that help the body absorb food. Because this happens, many people with cystic fibrosis are at risk of malnutrition and poor growth. CF also affects the liver. When the mucus is in the liver, it can block the bile duct, which causes people to be at risk of liver disease. Not only that, but CF can also affect the ability for men to have children. Next, who can get cystic fibrosis? Cystic fibrosis is not a disease that you can catch from someone else. CF is a genetic disease. This means that people with CF inherit 2 copies of the defective CF gene, which means you get 1 copy from each parent. In order for someone to get CF, both parents must have at least 1 copy of the defective gene. Not only is that important for you to know, but it is also important to know that you might be a carrier. Carriers of the disease only inherit 1 copy of the defective gene from 1 parent. This does not mean you have the disease, but if you plan to have children in the future, they might be carriers as well, or they might be born with the disease. Each time 2 CF carriers have children, there could be different chances. The first chances is 25%, 1 in 4 that will have CF, 50%, 1 in 2, the children will be a carrier, and again, 25%, 1 in 4, the child will not be a carrier or will not have CF. Since technology is so advanced nowadays, there is an option that you and your partner can choose. This option is to find out if you are a carrier of the CF gene or not. Many hospitals do a blood test and a carrier screen that can tell you or your partner if you carry the defective CF mutation gene. It is not uncommon for couples to go and get this type of testing done. If anything, it is common. Because in all honesty, we wouldn't want our future children to have this disease when a simple test can be done to know if you are a carrier or not. So far, by you listening to the speech, you have an idea on what cystic fibrosis is, who is affected by it, and who can get it. But I haven't mentioned why I chose to talk about this topic and why it is a disease I am so familiar with. I have a cousin that was born with cystic fibrosis. I still remember the day that my aunt and uncle were so happy that they were going to have their first baby. The delivery was quick and easy for my aunt. What came after the delivery wasn't so good. The doctors mentioned that my cousin was having a difficult time breathing on her own, and they did various tests that day and blood work on the baby. After hours and hours of trying to find an answer, the doctors finally came in and said that their baby was born with CF. Since both my aunt and uncle were new parents, they had no idea what it was, and they were both worried sick. At the time my cousin was born, which was in 2006, the chance of a child living that was born with CF was only 3 to 12 years of age. I couldn't imagine the fear that my aunt and uncle were living with when they told me that. Thankfully, researchers have found new medications that treat the underlying causes of this terrible disease. Now the life expectancy has reached 45 years of age or older, but these researchers work hard every day in hopes of CF standing for a cure found. In high school, I remember doing fundraisers and bake sales in order to raise money for the CF Foundation. Each dollar helped fund research, and I am so proud to say that every dollar counted. Just yesterday, on October 21st, 2019, a new drug was approved by the FDA for patients living with cystic fibrosis. This drug is named Trikafta. It is said to help more than 90% of patients living with cystic fibrosis. Many patients who live with this disease were celebrating, and I was celebrating with them. I also remember being in an art class in high school where we could draw or paint anything we wanted. When I had this class, it was the month of May in 2016, which was Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Month. I remember doing a painting in honor of my cousin that turned out like this. So I did this painting, yeah.
Wait, you made that?
Yeah, I made this painting. And I was proud to say that I had painted that painting, and I gifted it to my aunt for Christmas, and she loved it. So for me giving this speech, I hope everyone learned that what is cystic fibrosis, who can get it, and why it's important to me. I also hope that you guys have an understanding of how hard it is knowing that one of your family members has a disease that there is no cure for yet, but they are so close to finding one. I hope next time you see one of your family members doing well, living their best life, and living healthy, you hug them and remind them how much you love them, because you never know when the last day you will see them will be, or if they will be healthy the next time. Thank you all for listening to my speech, and I hope you all join me in hoping that one day CF stands for Cure Found.